Hey guys, and welcome back to the Indie Spotlight here on the Fronsman Productions channel. If you're new to this series, this is where I take a look at independent films to help shine a spotlight on some amazing talent. Continuing with our series on Johnny Woo, today I'd like to take a look back at his very first feature film, The Rapture, all the way back from 2007. The Rapture is a sci-fi action film that is set in a world where scientific advancements have led to the creation of the Chimera, which are superhuman beings whose bodies and DNA is fused with metal that gives them certain abilities. This story follows the two brothers, Madale and Job, who end up at odds due to the villainous military who is tracking down their mother, who is the scientist who gave them their powers. The movie begins when Job, who now goes by the name of Abaddon, is confronted by the military. A deadly battle ensues that sees many soldiers killed at the tail of Job. However, when his brother Madale comes, he interrupts the conflict in the hopes of convincing Job to return back home to him and his mother, who he thought was long dead. Unconvinced, Job refuses, leaving Madale empty-handed to return home to forge a new plan. His mother recommends that Madale seeks out the son of a supervillain who she thinks can help convince Job to return back home. However, more action and chaos continues as the military desperately tries to get the doctor by any means necessary. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking about the plot. Even though this movie is much older than many of the films I talk about on the Indie Spotlight, I want to still leave it spoiler-free so that way all of you guys can go down into the description, click the link, and watch the movie for yourselves. Instead, what I want to talk about is how The Rapture really planted the seeds that Johnny Woo would continue to build from and grow throughout his later films. If you're familiar with Johnny Woo and you've seen the videos that I did on Inner Self and Immortal Kombat: The Code, then you would know that Johnny Woo loves to put these elaborate and flashy fight sequences in his movies. He has such a love and passion for action that really shines through in all of his work, and you can trace that all the way back to The Rapture. The Rapture is loaded with lots of great action sequences all throughout the movie, but even cooler is the incorporation of superpowers into the mix. Whether it's launching energy beams from their hands or impaling enemies with their tail, there's so many cool action sequences that involve superpowers that really marry the world of practical effects with visual effects, along with the really tight fight choreography. Now, while the visual effects might not be quite on par with some of the larger Hollywood blockbusters coming out around that time, the overall campiness and charming aesthetic is created through these animations in such a way that it resembles almost like a 1970s live-action comic book adaptation. In fact, the comic book influence is felt so strongly that even the transitions in the movie resemble comic book panels. Overall, I think there really is a lot to learn if you're an independent filmmaker from watching The Rapture. Most importantly, the biggest lesson is that The Rapture is a movie that is not afraid to take the risk of being ambitious, especially for a debut feature film. Sure, in the past, I've made the case that sometimes it's beneficial to scale back your movie, especially even if it's something like a grandiose science fiction story. For instance, Safe State does a really good job of telling a time travel narrative with only one location and just a couple of actors. However, The Rapture argues on the other side of the fence. Rather than scale back on the science fiction genre and lower the stakes, Johnny Woo did the opposite. He raised the stakes, and he told this larger-than-life, grandiose superhero story packed with lots of really well-choreographed fight sequences and filled with locations as unique as a hidden laboratory or a high school gymnasium, for instance. And believe me, those are a lot tougher to be able to nail down than just somebody's apartment. And the best part is that Johnny Woo did it well. Okay, the movie came out really great. It's very well shot, it's well crafted, and it's extremely impressive, especially when you put it in the context of it being his debut breakout feature film. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't take the advice of scaling back your project to something more manageable. In many cases, that is a good idea, but only take that advice with your own discretion. Ultimately, the best movie that you can make is the movie that you want to make. And that's exactly what Johnny Woo did. And it shows when you watch The Rapture. From the fight sequences to the deep and rich lore about the Chimera that's explained throughout the movie. A lot of heart, soul, and passion went into making The Rapture, which is ultimately why I believe it came out so well to begin with. So if you have a story that you are burning and dying to put to film, then make that movie, okay? The art of filmmaking is the art of problem solving. Use what you have available to the best of your abilities, and if you're ready to take that plunge and dive into the trenches of filmmaking, it's not going to be easy. It's never easy. But you know what? It's worth it. And when everything lines up, then you will be satisfied knowing that you were able to take that story and put it to the screen. Anyways, that is all I have time for here today. You can watch The Rapture for free now on Tubi. And as always, I'm going to go ahead and link that down into the description of this video. And remember, if you want to see even more content on indie filmmaking, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, and turn that bell on for notifications so you never miss a new video on the Fronsman Productions YouTube channel. And if you are an indie filmmaker and you want me to talk about your movie on the Indie Spotlight, all you have to do is let me know in the comments. Simply tell me the name of your movie as well as where I can watch it, and I will add it to the watch list to talk about in a future video. Anyway, guys, until next time, that's a wrap.